Hello and welcome to Alternating Creative Intellectuality. It's been quite a while since I did my last video for YouTube. I've had to take the time to do some creative thinking for my April Autism Awareness Month this year. It's now 2023, April 2023. I have got a good theme for this year's April Autism Awareness Month, and it should be consistent with events that are happening in this world at the moment, in which the world is descending into a state of chaos and destruction. And the theme of this year for April Autism Month for me is resisting eugenics. And I'm not just talking about eugenics in the sense of resisting the destruction of the disabled through the medical and social welfare system. I'm also talking about a social form of eugenics, or as I call it, social eugenics. Now, these last few weeks there have been a number of different attempts to try and control the narrative on how the disabled, the disabled in general, are being coerced into being used as instruments of destruction. And as a parable to this, I can use the story about what has happened recently in the United States, where a transgender woman has gone on a killing spree in a Christian school where she was a former student in Tennessee. Now, in the fallout of this shooting, the trans community there and across parts of America have hijacked this and made the killing about themselves, declaring that, well, it's your fault you angered the trans community, so you got what you deserved, and we have now effectively started this campaign of harassment and destruction. So whereas we are causing devastation and devastation to communities, it's all on you. That is gaslighting of the extreme powerful delusion. It's very condescending and very, very patronising. Now, I'm speaking about this as a parable because there's, in terms of social eugenics, what we have here is an organisation of people who are collectively making a move to destroy and maim the fabric of society, to make one group of people eliminated just so that this other group of people can survive. This takes great precedence in disability advocacy, where I, as an autistic man, and in particular other disabled people, are being made to become, well, second-class citizens who are being socially cleansed from society to make way for another group. And not just able-bodied people, but other types of people who consider them disabled to be a cause, who are only useful as instruments for destruction, but a lost cause to fight for. Last year I wrote this article for the Haven Daily, where one critic said that I had written a ridiculous piece because it was about self-determination and hope for autistic people, and I had been and denounced me as a lost cause, saying that I was although I was trying to make something of myself, I was seen as having no value in life, and that I should be cold from society and cold from social justice activism. Well, I don't take any part in social justice activism at all. Now, in some cause, now there's a quote from a book about a man who tried to use his own, who lived for himself, armed with his own intelligence, with which to fight against the people who dismissed his abilities, and he refused to compromise on anything. There's a quote that goes like this: "I don't make comparisons. I never think of myself in relation to anyone else. I just refuse to measure myself as part of anything. I'm an utter egotist." Now, egotism is a good, powerful thing that can be useful for making yourself stand proud, firm and strong. It's not something to be used for chauvinism or anything for, unless there are people who use it for chauvinism, but I don't use it as a bragging right. Or even for an ego massage. I use it to show off how good and better I am than others, and I do not need validation from other people who would use that to denounce me as as having no value. Now, over these last few years, I've read extensively about eugenics, and in particular ways in which I've seen how people use how the way in which we as a society are becoming suffering from a civil rights crisis. And we're suffering from a civil rights crisis because all the different groups of communities, the disabled, the lesbian gay community, women, the black, Asian community, we're all fighting each other like rats to try and get every last bit of scrap of food there is out there, as if we're all like in a survival of the fittest mode. And most of it is coming from people who follow Marxist ideology, in which society should be more caring and supportive of people. Now, amongst my research notes, which I will read some to you, I could go on with a long enduring list of examples of how leftist and woke social justice warriors, with all their unreasonable political anarchic disorder, is killing people and is creating all this mess for society. I would like to point out to you just how much of an animal instinct the Marxist ideology has. Now, I can invalidate the left and the actually autistic cult and other disability advocates who question the validity of my autistic conservatism by revealing to you just how much being the Conservatives, although they have made cuts to social security services that support the disabled, the class structures and social hierarchy of Marxism is also about the elimination of the disabled, and in particular people who are imperfect. While in fact, Marx was an avid fan of Charles Darwin and his work on natural selection. Now, you probably heard of Charles Darwin as the man who famously wrote On the Origin of Species. I've got a copy of the book, and I read it extensively for my research in my new book on my autistic conservative objective. And in this bookmarked page that I have here, I can reveal to you some passages which I've underlined that have got a relevance to the socialist ideology, and in particular the way in which social justice activists fight off against oppression by declaring that, well, we must be the dominant species in order to survive. Yes, that's right. Marx was a fanboy of eugenics and was so besotted with this book, he actually said to his friends that, hang on, I've got it written down here. He actually wrote to Darwin and said this: Darwin's book is very important and serves me as a basis in natural science for the class struggle in history. Now, since animals fight off and kill each other to survive against predation, socialists too use the basis in natural science for their class and racial struggles to ensure that they can survive as well. Listen to this passage. As in each fully stocked country, natural selection necessarily acts by the selected form having some advantage in the struggle for life over other forms. There will be constant tendency in the improved descendants of any one species to supplant and exterminate in each stage of descent their predecessors and their original parent. This passage revolves around a survival instinct in which people of a certain political ideology, like socialism, in which they have to exterminate their predecessors and each stage of their past in order to make sure that the newer progressive ones can survive and push their ideas and ways of building society onto the next. And further on in the book, where Darwin uses an example of two species, as he says, the modified descendants, 14 in number at the 14,000 generation, will probably have inherited some of the advantages. They have also been modified and improved in a diversified manner at each stage of descent. In human terms and in social progressive terms, that means that in order to improve and better the way of living in which you want to live, you have to make sure that one group, i.e. Group A, gets to survive and conquer Group B, one who's probably one that Group A doesn't like. And in doing so, they would exterminate Group B as well as everything that is relevant to them in order to achieve their grand goal of being the higher power in the pecking order of the social justice revolution. And as it says here in this underlined passage, which I have here, it seems therefore to me extremely probable that they will have taken the places of and thus exterminated not only their parents, but likewise some of the original species. There's a lot of analogies that I could draw towards human society from Origin of Species, and thank God I got hold of this book and read it from back to finish. My new book contains a thorough, all the thorough details of everything relevant to my explanation of how social eugenics works, and in particular how, the race to the battles in social justice advocacies and left-wing in the left have tried their best to devour and eliminate anything that is not alike them. I've actually got I've got friends who are Jewish friends who have told me, who have written extensively about anti-Semitism, and I listen to their stories about how the way in which the left has started taking inspiration ideas from people who are, not politically alike them, but culturally alike them, who want to advance civilization by exterminating wealth, believing that, if there are no rich people, then there can be no poor people either. And from the way they put it, I think they are inspiring a genocide of normality and real civil justice which allows disabled people like me to live in harmony with normal people. Man, I can tell you a lot more stories and perhaps a lot more detail here. I'm not good at elaborating verbally, but I do my best to try and explain to people how the best qualities of autistic people and how they can live to be their own best people. Sometimes it works well better in writing, sometimes it works well better in me explain it to you verbally, like so. But that's the best part of resisting eugenics. You embrace the principle of imperfectibility. Human beings not made to be perfect, they're made to be excellent at what they do, but as individuals and not as a collective. There can be no single one person who represents perfection, but there can be one who has his own individual greatest achievements and best qualities in life, that is not unlike any other person beside him. Now, and here's one thing that I will add to that. On that note, in Origin, Darwin states that if some of these many species became modified and improved, others will have to be improved in a corresponding degree, or they will be exterminated. Now, in a situation like that, where the species are challenging each other, one group will become victorious over many competitors. In a human context, this means that in order for one group to be victorious in their advocacy, they may have to challenge the other groups or people must become used to serve their causes and their order of command, or they will be exterminated. And from what I've seen from that violence that broke out after the trans shooter at the school in Tennessee, I think their real aim is not to promote peace and justice or even living in civil harmony with normal people, but to cull and control people who do not think alike them. There isn't a genocide they have to fight. There's just, in fact, there is no genocide of trans people or even autistic people, unless, of course, there literally was, in which disabled people were being euthanized. Now, if you want to talk real euthanasia, you should look to Canada. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has implemented the Medical Assistance in Dying Act last year. This is a policy in which elderly people and disabled people are being granted end-of-life care by choice. And what I find really disturbing about the whole thing is that the medical world of Western civilization is now becoming very supportive of eugenics in many different forms. We are culling disabled people to avoid, to reduce the welfare state. We are culling elderly people by promoting a culture of dislikeness and bitterness towards another people, with the youth thinking that they are more deserving of better equality and treatment than others. Everyone just seems to be like an animal fighting to survive by beating the hierarchy of the people above them. And personally, I think, based on that, we as human beings are destined to become, well, we are descending into anarchical chaos, a culture of brainless, soulless creatures all trying to control people when we're not trying to be our best selves. We don't need to be perfect, we need to be better versions of ourselves. Well, that's about as far as I can go for this video. Okay, now I'm going to carry on with my autistic conservative objective. Enjoy April Autism Awareness Month. I will continue to resist eugenics and to promote the best qualities of autism that show that we are all worthy of being protected and in order to survive and make the world a better place. And don't retreat into a safe space, my fellow autistics. Go and build yourself up in a brave space. A brave space makes you stronger, powerful, more determined than most people will ever know you. Brave spaces make you better. They make you more active and have better mental health and physical health as well. Be brave and resist eugenics. Be a radical. The world does not need another self-pitying, loathing, disabled activists constantly ranting about how miserable they are. They need people to show that they can be good citizens who take pride in their imperfections, and where, well, as Hans Asperger would say, where one faculty of your body is not defective, but impaired, the rest of your body is enhanced, and you have been biologically built to be sacrificed, that part of your body, in order that your strongest part of you will survive and do better for human civilization. Right, now, I'm going to carry on preparing some more videos and creative content. Subscribe to this channel. It's incapable on YouTube. I also have my own blog, incapable.co.uk, and I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. There will be plenty more ideas in the coming future to be done, and where I will probably show off my best qualities, just like the flaming torch of my emblem shows. Right, now, have a good evening, or morning, or wherever you're watching this video. And remember, resist social eugenics and all other forms of eugenics. We are bright ideas with infinite imagination that can go around the world.